The agreement the Bahamas signed with Cuba earlier this month is now sparking international reports on whether or not the Bahamas will seek oil exploration. An American online report indicated that Cuba currently produces about 90,000 barrels of oil daily, or about half of its overall needs, with the rest being imported from Venezuela. AltaV's Money spoke with the Minister of Environment, Earl DeVoe.
It was back in April when reports surfaced online that the Cuban government planned to drill 5 oil wells in the Gulf of Mexico this summer. The report stated that the Cuban government designated 59 blocks in Gulf waters encompassing 43,200 square miles to drill deep water test wells. Florida's Sun Sentinel Online reported last week that the Chinese self-propelled Scarabeo 9 semi-submersible rig, powered by 8 4.3 megawatt thrusters, left Singapore in August for Cuba. However, Monday's New York Post is reporting that the Obama administration is frantically gearing up for the start of Cuba's controversial offshore oil drilling in December, and is concerned about a possible British Petroleum Deepwater Horizon-like disaster for Florida, compounded by the lack of relations between the U.S. government and Cuba's communist regime. Now, the New York Post also reported U.S. Congress is to be briefed on the plan to deal with the tense issue. You may ask, then, what is the impact for the Bahamas? Apparently, the recent maritime agreement signed between the Bahamas and Cuba sparked reports in this weekend's Miami Herald that the Bahamas may now possibly consider oil exploration next year. As it stands now, the Minister of the Environment, Dr. Earl DeVoe, confirmed that government has no application in its possession for oil drilling.
BPC has a number of licenses, and they have done a lot of scientific work. We have been steadfast in our commitment that we will not authorize any drilling in the Bahamas prior to widespread public consultation on the matter and prior to having a high level of environmental oversight, regulations, and a legal means to basically manage petroleum exploration and discovery and exploitation in our country.
And there's no definite timeline on when public consultation will begin on oil exploration, but Minister DeVoe says public feedback is a major factor in the government's ultimate decision.
It is my hope that by mid-November, we would have the Norwegian model, the Mexican model, and the Brazilian model that we could share with interested members of the public. And that would begin the process of determining how the Bahamas would develop its own model. This is a model for regulating, and for essentially it comes down to, do you permit exploration and drilling? And if you do, how do you regulate it so that it doesn't amount to an environmental disaster?
Minister DeVoe also maintained that it's the government's intention to protect our environment at all costs.
Our environment accounts for our way of life. Tourism has been our mainstay. Fishing is a significant contributor to our economy. The way of life we enjoy as Bahamians would change dramatically if we don't have a highly regulated oil industry in our waters or around our waters. That's why Bahamians were so fearful when the Deepwater Horizon oil spill occurred. That's why we're so concerned about what's going on in Cuba just south of us.
AltaV's Munnings, ZNS News.